check these. So good morning to everybody, and we are doing a quick warm-up to review our last lesson about subjects and verbs, and we are in chapter 13, starting on page 204. And so this is just a quick review. So let's number 1, and Gerardo, you're giving us the answer here. It says, what does subject-verb agreement mean? And you write that the agreement is that if the subject is plural, the verb should, are you trying to say should be plural?
Yes.
Okay, if the subject is plural, then the verb should be plural. Yes, basically, the subject and verb need to match in agreement. Okay, so the subject should match in number, like singular or plural. Okay, singular, plural means more than one. So think of agreement as matching. Okay. So that's what that means. And as we're going through our course, I'm going to teach you the different rules of writing. And when you guys start writing your paragraphs and even your journals, when I give you corrections, I will refer to them under these titles. Like I might underline a sentence that you write and I'll put subject-verb agreement. So that means you need to check the subject and verb and make sure that it agrees. So these little things we're learning are really important for you because in the future, you'll see a lot of these as I'm writing comments about your own writing. And so this week we're talking about subject-verb agreement and verb tense. Last week we talked about compound sentences and the structure for those. So keep all of these. If I were you, I would have like a notebook and take some notes and refer back to it if you see that your writing is, having problems and errors in those particular areas. Okay, so that's subject-verb agreement. And now number 2 and 3, these are both going to focus on the subject-verb agreement. So let's look at number 2. Neither Tom nor Joshua put are very good at driving a car. Okay, so why did you put are, Sammy?
Because if Tom and Josh are two people,
Okay.
the sentence is plural.
Okay, so you thought of it as Tom and Joshua, right?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to look at page 210. Page 210, and kind of the middle of the page, do you see where it says nor and or?
Yes.
Nor and or, page 210. It says when two or more subjects are joined by or nor, the verb agrees with the subject that is closest to it. So what does that mean? If the verb agrees with the subject that is closest to it, that means this subject, Joshua, is the closest thing to the verb, right? So we've got to look at Joshua. Is Joshua singular or plural?
Singular.
Singular.
Singular. So that means we need to choose
A.
is. Now, I will be honest with you guys, okay? When I first read this sentence, I'm like, well, are kind of sounds good. I mean, I think you will hear a lot of Americans use are. Like, oh, neither Tom nor Joshua were there yesterday. You probably hear people say that. Also, what I would probably say is neither of them were or are, So Sammy, technically it's a mistake that you made, and I would count that as a subject verb. Like if I were to mark it on your, let's say this was your sentence in an assignment, I would put S/V and then AGR. That's a subject verb agreement error. So technically it is an error, but I think that when in speaking especially, a lot of people use is, a lot of people would use are. Okay. And sometimes class, in speaking, we do kind of follow some different rules. It's just the way the language is. Because in speaking, you've got all different kinds of people that come in different groups, cultural groups, communities, and they may all speak one way. And then other people may not speak that way. So we've got some variation between the spoken language and the written language. Okay. So I am going to be a little more strict in this class because I want you to do more like correct writing. So I would mark that one wrong. But anyways, it's there in your book. So we're going to follow what the book says. So good try on that one. Let's go to number 3. One of the best places to live is near the East Coast. Okay, and Gerardo, why did you choose is?
I choose this because I think the noun is one and is singular.
Okay, so yes, one is the subject, yeah. And it's singular, so we're going to use is to conjugate the verb correctly. That's correct. Don't get confused because we have live here and then we have a verb. The reason why we have this is because of other kinds of grammar rules going on here. And today we're going to talk about phrases that come between subjects and verbs. So like this right here is a prepositional phrase of the best places to live. Okay. And so places is not a subject and to live is not a conjugated verb. Okay. So our subject is way over here at the beginning, and then our verb is kind of towards the middle of the sentence. All right. And my goal is for you guys to get better and better at recognizing in your own writing where you're placing your subjects and where you're placing your verbs. Okay. One of the ways to practice this is to do this in your journal writing, right? Because in your journals, I want you to write for 20 minutes, and I'm trying to get you to have more of a habit of creating good sentences naturally and correcting your own mistakes as you're going, okay? So I'm excited about that. And today we're going to talk more about journals. So yeah, so any questions, any comments about this warm-up?
Not for me, teacher.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to add or ask?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Okay, guys, then let's check our homework. Page 205. Let's start there, and then we'll get into today's lesson. Actually, you guys did practice. You started with practice 3, so that's going to be on page 207. Page 207. Okay, so let's kind of go through these. So number 1 has lots of different things in it. We need to know what we need to underline, right? The verbs are underlined, so we need to identify and correct 10 subject-verb agreement errors total. Okay, so they already underlined the verbs for you to kind of help you focus on those. So in number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I count 5 incorrect verb conjugations. So there are 5 subject-verb agreement errors in number 1. So let's see, Sammy, can you tell us what you got for number 1? Tell us the ones that you corrected.
Teacher, I have a question. In practice 3, page 207.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Number 1. Accords is incorrect. Is accord is correct?
And that's pronounced occur. It's like occur. Occur.
Accord, yes.
Okay, so occur is the first one. We need to take off that S.
Yes.
Good, because the subject is plural, so the verb needs to be conjugated correctly. Yes, that's good.
Yes.
What else?
They serve a purpose. Serve is correct.
Yes.
And they are about.
Okay, good. So we change is to are.
Yes.
That's another subject-verb agreement error, so we need to correct it. Good. What else?
And warn. You must put S. Warns.
That's correct.
And a story has a moral.
Okay. Good. We're changing have to has. Good.
Yes.
And there's one more that needs to be corrected.
And speaks. Speak is correct.
Okay, so we take off the S on speaks,
Yeah.
right?
Take off S.
Okay, good. And the last one is correct. Release is correct.
Yes.
All right, very good. Let's go on to number 2. Let's see, Lucia, can you do number 2?
Yes, teacher. These days, the internet contribute is correct to the spread to urban myths. For example, a popular email.
Wait, time out. You said contribute is correct. So contribute does not have an S at the end. So in simple present tense, that would mean that the subject is either I, you, we, they. If there's no S, then that means the subject is I, you, we, or they. But in this case, the internet is the same as it. It's a singular subject. So we need to do something with that verb.
Okay.
What do we need to do?
The
Can you
internet. I think that it's the contribute is correct, but it's with S.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Okay.
and I put it up on your screen on number 2. Contributes. We need an S because internet is a subject and internet is singular. It's the same as it.
Okay. Okay, teacher. Thank you. Okay.
Good.
For
And
example, a popular email advises
good.
people about a gang initiation. According to the email, gang members drive in cars. Drive is correct, I think.
Yes.
In cars with the headlights off. If an innocent driving flash, I think is correct. His lights at the car.
So what is wait, Lucia, what is the subject that goes with flash?
If an innocent driver flashes lights. Oh, yes, you're right. Driver. The innocent driver.
Okay, right. So the driver
Yeah, it's
is
with
the
S.
subject.
Yes, you're right. Flashes.
Good.
Okay, okay. Flashes. Okay, at the car. Are the gang member shoots
Good.
that
Shoots with
driver.
S.
Shoots. Yeah, with S. However, police officer insists that the initiation game is a myth. Internet sleuths often expose without S. Expose
That's correct. Yeah.
such legends. Mhm.
Okay, good. So there are 5 subject-verb agreement errors in this part of the practice, and I put them up there on the screen. These are the corrections we need to make. Contributes, advises, flashes, shoots, and then expose.
Mhm.
All right, looking good. Let's go to the next homework assignment, practice 8. And let me know if you have any questions as we're going along. So we're supposed to underline, in practice 8, we need to underline the subject and then write or circle the correct verb conjugation. So on my screen, I cannot underline things. So I'm just putting it in all capital letters. So number 1, you need to underline ideas. Ideas is the subject, and then were is the verb. And then also theory. Theory is a subject, was is the verb. And number 2, John Scopes is a subject, was is the verb. Okay, and I'm going to continue. Let me know if you have trouble with these. So number 2, we have anybody is a subject, was is the verb. And then, oh my gosh, there's a mistake in my book. Okay, nobody, where it says but nobody. Okay, nobody is a subject, was is the verb. And then, oh my gosh, I'm just looking at my book. They circled he instead of circling was. So, yeah, so underline nobody and circle was. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, and number 3, we have, this one is kind of tricky, but number 3, debates. Debates is the subject, are is the verb. So we underline debates, we circle are. And then the next one in number 3, issue is a subject, is the verb. And then the next one, some is a subject, think is the verb. I wish I could write all these, but I'm trying to move faster. But so some is, for number 3, we have debates are, issue is, some think. And then others, underline, disagree, circle. Okay, and then the last one, we circle argue. Okay, anybody need help with those?
No, teacher.
Okay, let's do number 4. Underline someone, circle says. And underline someone, circle replies. And then underline everyone, circle has. So someone says, someone replies, everyone has. Okay, that was our indefinite pronoun practice. And let's go on to practice 9, your last part of your homework. Practice 9. Okay, so we need to underline people, circle like. Okay, we're on number 1 at the top of page 213. Okay, underline cat, we circle has. Underline you, circle are. In number 2, we underline memes, we circle are. We underline many, we circle are. Okay, is everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay, and so we did memes are, many are, and then some, and circle capture, some capture. The next one, meme shows, and then trainer stands, and then photo circulates, and group becomes. Okay, and raptors are. And then the last one, crowd consists. Okay, let's go on to part 3. We've got businesses, and we underline businesses, we circle create. We underline they, we circle want. We underline team, we circle replaces. We underline meme, and we circle shows.
Before the replaces, what did you underline?
Replaces. We underline team.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's kind of hard to show. I can't show how you underline and circle. But yeah, we number 3, we underline team and we circled replaces. Okay, so those are your subject verb agreement practice exercises. Did anybody get like all of them correct, or maybe you just missed 1 or 2? Raise your hand if you got all of them correct, or you just missed 1 or 2 in each practice. Can you raise your hand? I want to see if we've... Okay, good. Sammy, good. Anybody else just get... Good, Lucia. Okay.
I had like three errors.
3 errors in total for all the practices, right? Okay. That's good. And how about you? Did you miss more than 2 or 3?
I missed 1, teacher.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. We're doing good then. I just wanted to check in and make sure we're kind of getting this. Let's flip over to page 218 and let's focus a little bit on verb tense. Verb tense. Okay, so verb tense, look at the top of the screen here. I want you to see the difference between a verb tense error subject-verb agreement error, okay? Verb tense will be something related to the time. So remember, tense is time. Well, here I put the verb is, and she, I mean, you think, well, she goes with is, right? I am, you are, he is, she is. But the problem is that I'm talking about yesterday. So I need to change is to was. Okay, this is what we call a verb tense error. The problem is with the time. Like you put it in present, it's supposed to be in past. Or maybe you put it in past, it needs to be in present. Okay, and if I were correcting your papers, I would put VT or V/T, verb tense error. All right, so if you see that on any of your assignments, then you know you need to check the tense of the verb and make sure you have it correct. Okay, so let's look at practice 1, page 218. First of all, I found a mistake in number 1. Did anybody find a mistake in number 1?
Yes, teacher.
The book made a mistake.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, what is it, Gerardo?
We are celebrate. No.
Yeah, that's the verb tense error because we were talking about the past, last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to change celebrate to celebrated with the ed. But did you also see that after the word mass, we need to have a comma?
Oh, okay.
And the book missed that comma. Class.
Because it's a compound sentence, and after mass start with and the helping
That's right. Yep, because I have subjects and verbs on both sides.
Exactly.
I have we attended mass. That is a complete thought. And I also have we celebrated with food and music at our home. That's a complete thought. So I need to make this a correct compound sentence by using the comma with the fanboys. So go ahead and make that correction in your book. Okay. And we lost Carolina. I think she had some connection problems. So let's go. How about Lucia? Can you answer number 2? What did you put? Lucia,
on page 219, teacher?
Yeah. Yes.
Number 2.
You have it, or you didn't do it?
The number 2 is correct, teacher.
No.
Nope.
No?
The only one of all of these that's correct is number 6. That's the only one that has all the verb tense correct. So number 2, let's look at it. It says, looking just like a princess, Raquel is wearing a pink gown and a tiara, and I was one of the 14 members of her court. Okay, so we're talking about at the quinceañera, what happened. And Raquel
yes, Raquel.
We need to put this in the past. Wore.
In the past. Yes, Raquel were wearing a pink gown and tiara. Okay.
Right. So up on the screen, I'm writing the verbs. Some of these are already written correctly, but like number 2, we need to make one correction. We need to use wore, not is wearing. And then was is already correct. Number 3, we change has into had. Okay, so number 3, we need to use past, had, and held is already. Number 4, we need to use read. Amy read Bible verses. That's the past. And then we keep gave the same. Number 5, we need to use said, which is already correct, and then change do to did. Okay, and number 6 is already correct. Both of the verbs are correct. We just need to underline have and become. And number 7, happened, is correct. And then we change get to got. Okay, so basically right here, this is an example of verb tense consistency. That means keeping the same tense when you're telling a story. So if I'm telling a story in the past, I need to make sure that those verbs the conjugated verbs are in the past. And what students tend to do sometimes is they kind of lose focus and they start changing it and using present tense because they're more familiar with present tense. But we need to make sure that our conjugated verbs are in the past if we're telling a story in the past. Okay? Turn the page. We have, Gerardo, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question on number 2. So,
Okay.
so after Raquel is correct.
No. Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to say that. Cross out is wearing. So we're going to cross out the is and the wearing in number 2. And we type at the top, we type in wore.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. So it should be, it should be Raquel wore a pink ball gown.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Okay, good. Turn the page and let me finish this for you. Number 8, underline was. Learning is a subject and underline was. And then change past to past. Past changes to past. Now, I need to show you how to spell past. Okay, look up here and number 8. Past does not have a T.
Okay, teacher.
If you put the T on it, then that becomes a noun, like in the past.
Oh.
Or it could be an adjective. So the ED one is the verb. Okay, number 9, underline celebrated, and then change talk to talked. Change talk to the past tense, talked. And number 10, underline was, gave, drove. Was, gave, drove for number 10, and those are all correct.
Okay, teacher.
All righty, guys. I think that took long enough. Any questions before we go to today's lesson?
No, not for me, teacher.
All right, so let's talk about our topic of the day, which is the interrupting words and phrases. So let's go back to chapter 13, and we're going to finish this little section here about subject and verb agreement. We're going to look at a couple more challenging things. Page 213. Page 213 in chapter 13. Okay, so once again, sometimes it's hard to find a subject, especially when we have several phrases before the verb. So look at my example here. The boy in 2 of my daughter's classes has or have the flu this week. I have a lot of words before my verb. I've got boy, I have daughter, I've got classes. So how do we know what the subject is? Can anybody help me with this sentence? What is the subject?
I know I know that the subject is boy, but I'm a little confused. What is the classes, the subject?
I can't
Teacher, I
understand.
think the subject is my daughter's classes.
You think the subject is the classes?
No.
I
Class.
think classes.
Okay. Well, Gerardo, I didn't understand what you said. You said you think it's boy, but
Yeah.
you're confused about what?
Yeah, I know that the boy is the subject, but I don't know why daughters and classes. No, I think you said you said in the past that because it's in a preposition phrase or something.
Yes.
But which one is the prepositions there? Of?
There's actually it's 2 phrases put together. In 2 of my daughter's classes. So in is a preposition, of is a preposition. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what happens with English. We can put a lot of prepositional phrases together. And that's why I did this one, because I wanted to confuse you a little bit. It's a lot of words, and most people will look at classes and say, oh yeah, that's the subject. But remember what I taught you in the first week of class. I said, how do we find a subject? We're going to ask who or what.
Yes.
Who has the flu this week? Remember, the verb is has or have, right? So who has the flu? Is it the classes?
No. It's the
No,
boy.
the classes do not have the flu. Is it my daughter that has the flu?
No.
Nope, because daughters is a possessive word. You see the apostrophe S.
Yes.
I have one daughter, but she is in 2 classes. She takes math and she takes English. So it's my daughter's classes, okay? But my daughter is not sick. It's the boy. So who has the flu? The boy. So the boy is the subject. Kind of confusing, right? Yeah, do you have a question, Lucia?
No, teacher, now it's clear.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
And sometimes you might get frustrated and say, well, why can't I just find it, right? We're in our 4th week of classes. This takes a lot of practice, a lot of trying it, getting it wrong, trying it again, looking at it again, lots of practice. So this is just level 1 of writing, so don't feel bad if it's still difficult to find those subjects, okay? It takes time. So this is my second point. Remember that the subjects are not inside prepositional phrases, just like Gerardo, you reminded us. Prepositional phrase is in 2 of my daughter's classes. That's all prepositional phrase.
Okay.
So that we don't look in there to find a subject. So here's one of the the pieces of advice that your book gives you, they encourage you to put parentheses around the prepositional phrases. So look with me on page 214. Page 214 at the top. Okay, you can put a little star in your book or something to help you remember this. Put parentheses around those extra words like prepositional phrases that are between subject and the verb. So let's do one together on the screen here. Look at my sentence. It says, in the morning before class, the best breakfast from my kitchen is prepared. Okay, so let's put parentheses in your mind. I want you to put parentheses around prepositional phrases. So you can get a piece of paper if you want, or just kind of think about it in your head. Where are the prepositional phrases? And put these little curvy lines called parentheses. Put that around the phrases. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about it. Okay, let's see what you got. Sammy, can you tell me where some prepositional phrases are?
Yes, it's in the morning
Yes. What else?
and from my kitchen.
Yep, from my kitchen. Okay, so we know that morning is not the subject, kitchen is not the subject, right? Because that's in the prepositional phrase. Okay, we're getting closer to finding the subject. Do we have another prepositional phrase? Did anybody find another one? There's supposed to be 3 here.
Yeah.
It's before class.
Yep, before class. Before class is a prepositional phrase. Okay, now inside these prepositional phrases that I'm showing you, there's no subject and verb inside. Okay, we never have a subject and verb inside a prepositional phrase. We've got to look outside. So what words do we have left? We've got the best breakfast, and that's the subject. And then we have is prepared, and that's the verb. We can also ask our question. Remember the who and what question? I can say, what is prepared? What is prepared? Is my kitchen prepared? No. Is the morning prepared? No. Is the class prepared? No. What about the breakfast? Yes. The breakfast is prepared or made, created. So breakfast is the subject. Okay?
Yes.
Anybody have, yeah, you have a question?
Teacher, which page are you? I'm sorry.
I'm at the top of page 214.
In my book is hint, identify interruption phrases.
Yes, identifying interrupting phrases. So my example on the screen was from my own, it was my own example, but your book has many more examples.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so why don't we go to practice 10? Let's do a couple of these in practice 10. So now we are going into your book, okay? Look at number 1, where it says, one of this era's most enduring legends is or are the Dracula legend. And by the way, the word era, E-R-A, that means a time period, like a period of maybe 100 years or 200 years. That would be an era. So with your pencil, I want you to put parentheses around the prepositional phrase in number 1, practice 10. And then you need to circle the correct verb. Okay, so Lucia, let's go to you for the answer here. What is the prepositional phrase in number 1, Lucia?
Teacher, we are in the page 240.
214.
Oh my God! I was reading the page. I'm sorry. Let me.
Yeah, I said
change.
214,
Oh my
not
God!
240. It's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was checking the order here. I'm lost. I'm lost. Okay. Practice 10. Number
Practice
1.
10, we're doing number 1. What is the prepositional phrase?
One of these era's most enduring legends. Prepositional phrase is
We're looking for in, at, of, from. Those are all prepositions. Do you see one of those little words?
of these eras.
Yes, of this era's most enduring legends. Because eras is a possessive, we have to have a noun with it.
Mhm.
So we cannot stop after eras. We need to keep going. So of this era's most enduring legends. Legends is the noun. Remember I said with a prepositional phrase, you always have a preposition and a noun. So
And
of is a preposition, legends.
oh, okay.
So what does this mean? This means we need to look outside the prepositional phrase to find the subject. And the subject is one. And that means
One.
the verb is. The verb is.
And
Okay?
what is legends, you said?
Legends is the object of the
Now,
preposition. It's just a noun.
Okay.
It's a thing. Yeah, it's a plural noun, but it's not the subject.
Okay.
Okay, good job. Let's continue on a little bit here. Look at this screen on your computer. Words that come between the subject and the verb may confuse you. So we're kind of we're looking at other types of words that can be between the subject and verb. So some other words, these are not prepositions, but these are other types of words, okay? The interrupting words are who, which, or that. And these are going to create adjective clauses. So look at this sentence. It says, one book, which contains stories about crop circles, is very interesting. Okay. So that word which right there, that is another type of interrupting word. This is an adjective clause. It says, which contains stories about crop circles. That does not have my main subject or my main verb. So look at what is the subject and verb. Book is a subject and is the verb. Does that look kind of crazy to you?
Yes.
It looks really, because we have contains, which is a verb, right? But contains is actually inside the adjective clause. And in my grammar class, when I teach adjective clauses, we always look for the main clause and the adjective clause. Okay, so if I take out this adjective clause, I still have a complete sentence. One book is very interesting. That's a complete sentence. just like with prepositional phrases, if you take them out, you still should have a complete sentence. Okay, anybody have questions there?
No, teacher.
All right, let's do a little pop quiz then. We're going to start with Sammy. Sammy, you will answer the first question. Gerardo, you will answer the second question. And Lucia is going to answer the third question. Okay, so Sammy, subject-verb agreement means that what?
Um,
A, B, C, or D?
um,
Kind of tricky.
A.
A is correct. Yes. The subject and the verb agree in number. Remember we said singular, plural, right?
Yes.
They agree in the number. Okay, Gerardo, it's your turn. Which of these sentences contains a subject and a verb that do not agree in number? So Gerardo, you can answer this one, A, B, C, or D.
Mm. Number, I'm sorry, B?
That one is not correct.
No. Oh,
We're
yes.
looking at the one that's not correct. It's actually going to be A.
Oh, yeah.
We should put she hates with the S. So letter A is an example of a subject-verb agreement error, a mistake, okay? We need the S on hates. Okay, good try. Let's go to Lucia. Lucia, when a subject begins with there or here, the subject, what is it going to be? A, B, C, or D?
Oh my God, I read this part yesterday. I don't remember exactly. It was when a subject begins with there or here, the subject should be there, here. Oh my God, I don't remember. Always follows the verb. No.
Yep, that's
Yes.
correct.
Oh, yes.
Yep, you got it back there in your brain somewhere. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Sammy for this one. When two or more subjects are joined by and, that would be like my friend and I, or Sammy and Lucia. So I've got two subjects with and. What's the answer?
It's B.
Yep, we use the plural form. Okay, we always use the plural form. My friend and I are, right? It's going to be plural. Okay? All right, Ricardo, it's your turn. Which of the following sentences correctly joins two or more subjects with or nor?
A.
It's letter D.
What?
Okay, and this is why. This was on the warm-up this morning. When we have neither nor or either or, okay, we have to look at the subject that is closest to the verb. In letter A, cousin is closest to the verb want. So we would have to say once because cousin is singular. Cousin is singular in A, so we would have to put once to show us that singular verb. In letter D, we have children, is the closest subject to the verb. So we need to use the plural form like. Okay, do you understand that now, Gerardo, or not?
Yes.
Okay, kind of tricky. All right, let's see, Lucia, it's your turn. Which of the following is not an indefinite pronoun? Lucia, are you there? Oh, I think we lost Lucia. Sammy, do you know the answer to this one?
Is B?
Right. Us is never a subject anyways. It's always going to be an object. If it's a subject, we have to write we. Okay? Oh, wow. These are challenging. This is to kind of get you ready for your next quiz that's coming up in a couple weeks. Probably end of next week or the week after that. Okay, so
I have problems with my internet. I don't know.
that's okay, Lucia.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, no problems. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. Let me make sure yeah. So we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes, and you guys are going to work. Let's see, we only have 3 people in the class, right? Did someone else join? I think it's 3 of you, Lucia, Gerardo, and Sammy. So I want you guys to work on these. What you're going to do is correct any errors with the subjects and verbs, the verb tense, and the subject-verb agreement. Okay? You do not need to change, let me think. We're only focusing on subjects and verbs, basically, okay? And if we need to, because we talked about compound sentences, right? So if we need to, we can make corrections with compound sentences. So basically everything we've talked about so far in this class, we are going to test what you know by correcting these groups of sentences. Now, I will tell you right now, these come from students' journals. And remember, I told you I like to use my own students' work to correct it in class, not to make anybody feel bad, but to say, hey, this is actually what we're working on in this class, right? And I want to teach you and help you develop your skills in editing your work and your classmates' work. Because later, we're really going to do a lot more editing and correcting of our own papers and our partners' papers. So these are 2 groups of sentences that I took from the class journals. And so I want us to work on correcting errors with these. So each of these, number 1 and number 2, they each have at least 3 corrections. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off my microphone and I'm going to let you guys discuss these together. I want you to talk, turn on your microphones and talk together. How would you change this? What kind of problems do you see? And what I would like to do, it would be better if we were in class and you could write it on paper, but what we'll do in the interest of time is I want you to write on paper. And we can come back and we'll talk about what you did. So try to make these correct. And you can write your sentences on paper. Anybody have questions?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Good.
Okay, good. So it is 10:34. I will give you until 10:45. So you got about 10 minutes. So go ahead, guys. And do you guys want to use the whiteboard for this or just talk? What's better for you?
It's whiteboard is good, I think.
Whiteboard is good. Okay, so take a picture of this with your phone. And maybe I can do something. I'm going to try this just for a second here. I'm going to try, but it's not going to work. Even if I copy and paste it, it won't work. It won't work on the whiteboard. So, did everybody get a picture?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So you can write on the whiteboard, do what you want to do to make the corrections. Okay. I'll give you 10 minutes.
Okay. Uh, I think in sentence one, number one, it is a really nice place is wrong. You must put it was a really nice place.
Yes, I'm agree. Um, uh, I think it's missing a comma after memories in the first sentence. I think.
Mm, um, I think it's not. Uh,
And preposition.
I don't know.
I don't know too. It's very hard. Okay.
This
How
is,
about
hey guys, this is my homework. Well,
Okay. Do you guys need some help? You want me to point you in the right direction?
I,
yes, it is
I
very
checked all the corrections that the teacher made me, but I can find the correction. I already checked it. But
Yeah.
for
And
example,
let's
in the
see,
first part, yeah,
yeah. Lucia,
let me,
Lucia,
yes, let me, yes, teacher.
I don't always, on the journals, I don't correct everything because I want you guys to, first of all, I'm not grading the grammar, but secondly, I want to use some examples in class. So I did not correct all of this.
Okay,
So
okay.
let me help you guys. Let me help you focus on a few things. Do you see us? Let's look at subjects and verbs. We have I have, right? And then I have when I traveled. So I've got I have I traveled. And then we have it is. So all of those right there, I've got subject and verb pairs, but I only have a comma to separate it. Is that the right way to make a sentence with just a comma to separate? No, think of compound sentences, right? We have complete thoughts on both sides of the comma, so I need to use a fanboy, or I just put a period after daughter.
Okay.
Okay? Because this person wrote just subject verb comma, subject verb comma, subject verb comma, subject verb comma, subject kept going, subject verb just comma, just a comma, just a comma. But if we have these commas, that means we're separating subject and verb pairs. We need to do it correctly. You either need a period or you need comma and fanboys. Okay? So that's one thing you want to look at. Another thing you want to look at is the verb tense. It says I have, that's in the present. Then I said I traveled, that's in the past. It is, that's present. We visited, past. So this person is switching past and present. And then at the end it says spend, which is present.
Mhm.
If this is something that happened in the past, we need to make sure the verb tense is put into the past. Okay? Does that make sense?
So in all the, are you saying that if we write a paragraph or a essay in the past, all the verbs should be in the past?
Yes, if you're telling the story, if it's part of something that is in the past. Like for example, it says we went to a shopping mall and spend many times in different parks. Okay, that's something that they did. So we need to say they and spent
Mhm.
time
And past.
in different parts. Right, because that's something that we did in the past.
Okay.
Yeah, so for sure we need that. And notice the structure. We have we went, that's subject verb, comma, and then it's just a verb, spend. Is that how we need to make that? No, because what they have here is we subject and then two verbs, went and spent. So that would be like a simple sentence. We need to create simple sentence with two verbs. You remember we talked about simple sentence that has two verbs? Remember when we talked
Two
about
verbs.
that? Like I work and live in Fort Worth. There's no comma.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, you guys with me?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. I'm going to let you guys continue for a few more minutes, and then we'll look at how to correct it. Okay?
Okay, in the second one,
I didn't take a picture. I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Okay, I can help you with that, Lucia.
Yes, please, please, teacher.
I'll show you that again, okay?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think about the second one, Gerardo?
I think it's the same situation in the first sentence. It's a simple sentence, and I put and it's a command before branches.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, you guys talk about it. All right, take a few minutes.
I think this sentence doesn't need any comma. I think so. What do you think?
I think it's correct. Comma after branches.
Do you think
Okay,
it's
I'm back. I'm back. Sammy, why do you think it's correct to use a comma? Is this a compound sentence or what?
Yes, I think is compound.
Okay, it kind of looks like it because we've got, I mean, what's the subject and verb on the left side? Can you tell me that?
The subject is grass.
Well, okay, that's on
Verb
the right side, but she said it's a
on the
compound
left
sentence. So that means there's a subject and verb on the left side of the
is
comma and. So what is it?
trees. Subject.
And what's the verb?
Mm,
no? I think it's incomplete sentence.
Okay, look at this is
Oh,
so
teacher,
hard.
it's a little confused.
It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. There's so many words, right? Okay, but this is really good for you guys because I want to teach you how to control your thoughts into simple, clear sentences, right? Because
Yes.
when we're thinking, we're like, oh yeah, and we just want to type. And what I want to teach you guys is how to take it, a little bit slower and say, okay, how am I structuring my sentence, right? So what we have here, trees is a possessive word. And look right before it, Sammy, it says from. That's a preposition. Remember what we said about prepositions? We don't have subjects and verbs inside a prepositional phrase.
yes.
Uh-oh. So now we don't have a subject and verb on the left side.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take them step by step. I'm going to show you guys the corrections. Okay, so with our first one, what I would want to do, it is okay to say you have memories. Like it is possible to use have with memories. Like I have memories of my childhood. But this person, this writer, was focusing on creating a memory and going to a place. So I changed it to made memories because they're focusing in on one particular trip. Okay. So I changed have to made. So I made other good memories when I traveled to Oregon with my mom and my daughter, period. Now, why do I need a period? Because I need to and give my reader a chance to take a breath and to think about what we just read, okay? The period is signaling I already made a complete subject and verb pair, okay? I also made other good memories. That is a complete thought. And then I added the when I traveled because I'm telling you when it happened. That's enough to put in one sentence. So we're going to go ahead and put that period there after daughter, and it makes it easier to just kind of, for the comprehension, for understanding it, okay? Then I can start a new sentence. It, right? And I'm talking about the trip was a really nice place. Now you can use it is because technically the place still exists. If I go to Oregon, there is still a place, right? But I'm talking about my trip. And if I'm talking about the past, we can go ahead and just keep this in the past, all right? So you can use is, but I would probably use was. So it was a nice place. I can put a period.
Okay.
We don't have to keep on with the comma, 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 comma. Stop and say, okay, that is a subject and verb pair. It was a really nice place, all right? Then I have another subject, we, and a verb visited. And then I have a verb with it, met. So notice in number 1, wrote, we visited museums, comma, we met, right?
Mhm.
We don't have to keep repeating the we simple sentence with 2 verbs. We visited and met. Did everybody see that? It's a simple sentence with 2 conjugated verbs. Okay, we don't need a comma. We don't need a comma with that. And it's another simple sentence with 2 conjugated verbs. It says, we also went and spent. Okay, subject we, verb went, verb spent. We don't need a comma with fanboys. Okay. Now, class, all of these sentences, except the first one, is not simple, but most of these sentences are simple sentences. But it still has variety because 2 of the sentences have 2 conjugated verbs in them, which is kind of nice. It's like a way to show, hey, I can make a simple sentence with 1 verb. I can make a simple sentence with 2 verbs. You could make it a compound sentence. I could say, it was a really nice place, comma, and we visited some museums, blah, blah, blah. I could do that, but I do need to make sure I'm separating subject and verb pairs correctly. Okay, so that was a lot. Who has questions about number 1?
I don't know.
Is that hard, or how do you feel about this?
It is hard for me, teacher. It's really hard for me.
Okay, Lucia, what do you think? Oh, I think
Yes,
Lucia.
teacher. It's really hard
Yes,
for me too. Mhm.
it is hard. And for the first 3 weeks of our looking at other sentences, right? And then I asked you guys to write a few sentences, but your sentences were kind of just different ideas. It wasn't all together, right? But I'm trying to push you to kind of bring you to the point of, okay, so I'm learning about subjects and verbs, and now I really need to take it piece by piece. Where are my subjects? Where are my verbs? Where are my ideas? Where's the complete idea? Because once we have a complete thought, that's a sentence. And we need to make sure we're separating sentences correctly. Okay. Let's go to number 2. This is a great, very descriptive sentence. Both of these examples are very descriptive, lots of ideas. It's great. We just need to put some structure with it. So here's what I did for the second one. And to make it, I underlined the subject and the verb. Now, believe it or not, class, this is one sentence. It's just a very long sentence. Because this writer had a lot of these, all these little ideas, but really what it came down to, if you ask yourself the question, what makes me feel alive and full of hope? What makes me feel? I see that verb make, right? What makes me feel alive? The answer is observing. Observing all these things, watching all of these things happen. So observing is actually the subject. It's called a gerund. And we looked at some of these before. Remember how I said ing words can be subjects? And in this case, it is. Observing how the new leaves sprout from trees and the grass comes up makes me feel, okay? So that's a subject, observing. It's a long, long gerund phrase, but that's a subject, and then the verb we have to conjugate correctly. So that's a subject-verb agreement error that the person made. I have to put the S right there, okay? Now, there's other ways to correct this sentence. I could say, I enjoy observing the new sprouts from tree branches and the grass, growing or whatever. I can start a sentence with I enjoy observing, right? Then I could put a period after green color. But I see this verb makes me feel, and I'm like, oh boy. If you want to make two sentences, you can stop after color and then say, it makes me feel alive. Okay? But we've got to do something with the way it is, because the way it is like a bunch of different things pushed together. So, like I said, guys, it takes time to learn how to do this, but my goal is for you to begin like opening your eyes a little bit to what you're doing in your own writing, right? And the kind of mistakes that you're making and you don't even realize it. We have to be able to look at it, right? And see what's happening.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
Why in this sentence we don't need the article? Is article? I think yes, it's an article the after observing how the new. Why?
You only need to use the if you already said something about the sprouts or the leaves. And in this sentence, before this sentence, I didn't see a sentence about leaves or sprouts. So we cannot use the unless we already mentioned what it was. Like, for example, I can say, I have an apple in my kitchen. The apple is red. So first I told you I have an apple. Then after that, I can use the to talk about the apple.
Okay.
And that's the same with this. We cannot use the sprouts or the leaves until said something about those sprouts or leaves.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Now there's a lot that I corrected in these sentences, but it's just to give you guys an idea of everything that's involved in writing. And so again, the goal for you is to practice looking at your own subjects and verbs and how you're putting them together. And I'm giving you a lot of tools, right? I've told you how to ask yourself a question, who or what does the action? and look at prepositional phrases because your subject cannot be inside there, right? So these are some tools to help you do that. Anybody have questions before we go? Or comments?
Not
No.
yet. No.
Okay, so your homework is a little bit challenging. Practice 12 will be a little challenging for you guys, but I want you to do practice 11, and then it's subject-verb agreement again, and practice 12, page 214 and 215. For practice 12, what I would like for you to do is to look at the, I want you to put parentheses in practice 12. You remember we did some parentheses around those interrupting words or phrases.
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to use your parentheses and try to identify the subjects and verbs in practice 12. In practice 11, I don't know why I put that one there because we already did one. Okay, maybe because practice 11 has prepositional phrases. So that one, you guys can do the parentheses also. So parentheses, parentheses, okay? Practice looking at words and phrases that do not have the subject and verb in them. And then you guys are going to do your discussion board. Here's another great opportunity for you to write. I'm not taking it as a grade, but it's your chance to say, hey, I need to practice some of these things my teacher's talking about. And go in there and try to write some different kinds of sentences. You can even take your journal if you want to and see if you can take a sentence out of that and correct it and put it in a discussion board. I mean, whatever you want to do is fine with me. I just want sentences in the discussion board by Friday, and I will correct those and give you the feedback by Sunday night. Okay, so before our next class. And then your lab number 1, the post-test 1.2 and 2.1 are due on Friday. And I took a look in there and I saw, Sammy, I've already got your post-tests, both of them. Lucia, I have both of yours. And Gerardo, I have your 1.2 test. You just need to do the 2.1.
Okay, and in the person lab?
Yes, the My Writing Lab, yes.
Okay.
So go to the calendar, click on the red dot on the calendar, and then you'll see that post test. It's
Okay.
only 10 questions, okay? Miriam, Alan, Isabel, Carolina, and Soledad, they all still need to do the post test 1.2 and 2.1.
Okay.
And by the way, on the test, they talk about a compound verb. That just means 2 verbs. If you remember, we talked about that a few weeks ago. Compound verb means there's 2 verbs or more in the sentence. Like she works out and cooks. That's a compound verb. Works out, cooks.
Okay.
Yeah, so remember that for the test. And that's it, guys. I think that's enough homework for this weekend. I will see you on Thursday. No, today's Thursday. I'll see you on Tuesday.
Teacher,
And yes, go ahead.
I